Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the house of the Lord. Are you glad you came to church? We're so glad you're here. That was Easter last week, and you don't always see everything that goes on around here. We thought we'd give you a little picture of that. We have literally thousands of people that listen to the worship, listen to the message. I don't know. We just thank you for bringing your friends last week. A lot of people born again, and I believe people are enjoying coming back to church. How about you? And the church is coming back. Amen. Hey, if you didn't get one of our program guides, it has an outline of today's message. If you'd like one of those, one of our ushers will come down the row. We're going to start a new series today entitled The Prayer of Jabez. Hold your hand up until someone sees you. You take some notes. You can stay awake. And if you had one of those, you might get into heaven. I'm not sure, but hopefully. How many of you you grew up in Tulare County? Wave at me. My goodness. Yeah, most of you are from this area. Well, I wasn't raised here, but I got here as quick as I could. And I'm glad I did because Karen and I love being in California. So you heard about the old preacher that out in Texas, country boy. He just was trying to figure out what his son was going to do with his life. He didn't know. He's a high school senior, about to graduate, and his son has not made any plans on what he's going to be, and his father couldn't figure out what he's going to be. So his father got this idea, I think I'll just try him out and test out the water and see what he's going to be. So he went into his bedroom, and his son always comes in after school to his bedroom and throws his books on the bed. So he placed 3 items on the bed. He put a silver dollar, he put a Bible, and a bottle of whiskey. And the old preacher thought to himself, if my boy comes in there and picks up the Bible, he'll be a preacher. If he picks up that silver dollar, he'll be a businessman. But if he picks up that bottle of whiskey, he's probably going to be a drunk. And so it's getting time for school to get out, and the old preacher hid behind the door in the boy's bedroom. And sure enough, here comes the young man. He runs in his bedroom, throws his books on the bed, and he sees those 3 items. He studies them for a minute. He picks up the Bible and puts it up under his arm. He picked up the silver dollar, put it in his pocket, and he took a big old swig of that whiskey and put the bottle down and took off. And the old preacher came out behind the door and he says, dear Lord, he's going to run for Congress. God bless the Congress. Amen. Amen. I want to take you to one of the most uninteresting parts of the Bible. It's the genealogies. Someone asked me this week where they should start reading in the Bible. I said, whatever you do, don't start with the genealogy. Start with the book of John. Skip over Matthew for a moment. Go to John because he gets right to the point. And I'd read everything that John wrote before I read anything out. But I'm going to go to that point today, and I want to start off because there's a reason for all of this. I want to start off in Genesis chapter number 10. We're going to look at this genealogy, and it said that Eber had 2 sons. The first name was Peleg, which means division. For during his lifetime, the people of the world were divided into different language groups, and his brother's name was Joktan. Now, think about this for a second. His name was Peleg because that means division. Why would you call your son a division? Well, that's in Genesis chapter 10, and when you get to Genesis chapter 11, you read the story of the Tower of Babel. It was the day when people on the earth said that we'll reach up to God. We will build a tower, we will reach into the heavens, and they started building, and the Bible said that God came down and confused the languages. And that's where we got all the languages on the earth. It was called the Tower of Babel. That's where we get the word babbling. He's babbling. And so They quit building a tower, and the people of the earth were just going every which direction because nobody could understand it. They had to learn different languages, and now it's divided. So his name meant something. We don't really use that much with names nowadays. We just put cute names, but in those days they did. But he was growing up, and he reminded the people of division. I was sitting on a Southwest airline flight years ago, and we were starting to taxi out, and I was finishing up a phone call, and a lady came, and the flight attendant came over, and she said, "Sir, you have to turn that phone off." I knew I had turned off. But she said, you are endangering everybody on this plane. And I got a thought. I had two thoughts. Number one, does she know who she's talking to? No, my thought was, dangerous. Now that would be a name. She called me dangerous. You are endangering everybody. I'm thinking about changing my name. Why don't I grow up with the name dangerous? And people look at me, that's dangerous. You better not mess with dangerous because he's just dangerous. Why is he dangerous? We don't know. He's dangerous. He's dangerous. And then we come over here to 1 Chronicles chapter number 4, verse number 9, and we got another genealogy. The Chronicles were the writings of the king and his staff. They were trying to put the genealogies all together, and you see 1st and 2nd Kings are pretty similar to 1st and 2nd Chronicles because the prophets were writing 1st and 2nd Kings, but the staff, the government staff, was putting together the Chronicles, and they're writing this, and they come on 1st Chronicles chapter 4. They've written about a lot of names, but they stop on this one name of a guy whose name is Pain. Look at this verse with me. 1 Chronicles chapter 4, verse 9. Now Jabez was more honorable than his brothers, and his mother called him Jabez, saying, because I bore him in pain. This boy is Pain. Now Jabez called on the God of Israel, saying, oh, that you would bless me indeed. Enlarge my territory, that your hand would be with me, and that you would keep me from evil, that I might not cause pain. I'd like for you to read that part with me, starting with the word "oh." Oh, that you would bless me indeed, and enlarge my territory, that your hand would be with me, and that you would keep me from evil, that I might not cause pain. So God granted him what he requested. Somebody say, thank God for his word. Now, I want to teach you the prayer of Jabez. This one prayer can revolutionize your entire life. I've taught this for years. In this one prayer, the most powerful prayer in the Bible is the Lord's Prayer, is found in Matthew chapter 6. But this prayer right on up there is one of the best prayers in all of the Old Testament. It's called the prayer of Jabez. And you think, Jabez is rolling along here. He was growing up with his name, your Pain. And finally he got up old enough. He said, I don't want to be that anymore. I'm just a small guy. But here's something that you need to understand about who you are in life, whoever's listening to me. No life is too small to make a difference. No life is too small to make a difference. Look what this lady said right here. Miss Reese said this: if you think your life is too small to be effective, you've never been in bed with a mosquito. Think about that. Think about that. Here's 44 names in this passage of Scripture, and the writer stops after just saying, he's the son of so-and-so, he's the son of so-and-so, he's the son of so-and-so. But you need to know something about this guy named Jabez. Jabez. He was just an insignificant guy. You know what? Wilkenson was the one who said there is a very little difference between people, but that difference will make a huge difference. Think about it. He said, I want to talk about this one guy, Jabez, whose name means pain. Now, first of all, why did his mother name him Pain? Was it because the epidural didn't work? they didn't have them in those days, was because this child just made her so painful coming out. He just said, I'll never have another kid again. You're the biggest pain of my life. Was the birthing process so bad? She said, I'm going to stick it to you the rest of your life. You're going to be called pain, I don't think that's it. Was their country being overrun by a dictator like Vladimir Putin, who's overrunning the country of Ukraine now? Were they living in war times? What is going on here that she named him Pain? But secondly, imagine growing up with the name Pain. And kids at school messing with you say, hey, Jabez, what's the drama with your mama, dude? Come on. Why does a woman want to call you Pain? Are you really the guy who caused all that pain that your mama up and called you? You are pain in my, whatchamacallit. You are just a pain. Regardless how he got his name, verse 10 is the magic in the message. Jabez called on the name of the Lord. It does not matter what circumstances you were raised in. It does not matter your educational status. It does not matter your financial status. If you would call on the name of the Lord, if you would just call on the name of the Lord. Jabez called on the God of Israel. He had heard. He must have been to Sunday school or something. Maybe his parents taught him or something. But he realized after his going somewhere, he learned about Israel because he calls on the God of Israel. He must have heard how Moses delivered them out of the bondage of Egypt and Pharaoh and all of that, and how God had opened the Red Sea. He must have heard about David and Goliath. He might have heard about Joshua and the walls of Jericho. He may have heard of all of those things, and he said, you know what? If God did it for them, God can do it for me. I am going to call on the name of the Lord. I'm going to make a request to God. I've been waiting on a fellow to call me back 2 weeks. I'm ready to bless him, but he hadn't called me back. But no, Jabez said, I'm calling on the Lord now. Now, I want you to understand that, because a lot of people don't call on the Lord because they have a crippling misunderstanding about God. And it has to do with this kind of way that we approach God sometimes. Some people have been in so much pain for so long, they just don't call on the Lord. He's not going to do anything. I'm down here in this mess, and we would have come down here and fixed this, Some people, that's a crippling misunderstanding. Always call on the Lord. Call on the Lord and he will be found. Don't let the devil tell you to stop calling on the Lord. And call on the Lord while he may be found. And see, on your outline I put this. Seeing that God is a God who is unwilling to bless you, places us under a cloud of error that leaves us impoverished instead of blessed. Now, I'm with the guy who did the resurrection. I hang out with Jesus because he resurrected, and no other world religion can claim their founder and president rose from the grave. And I'm hanging out with Jesus, and hanging out with Jesus, I know this one thing: he loves blessing his kids. God loves blessing his kids. There's you'll get a chance to read this possibly if you get a chance. Read buy this book, The Prayer of Jabez by Bruce Wilkenson. He has written a lot of little books. This is one of his finest. And in this book, he tells a story about a fellow by the name of Connor O'Reilly, who was a poor Irishman back in the last century, who had a dream to come to America. All he wanted to do was come to America, but he had no money. And he told his relatives, he told everybody, I'm going to go to America one day. One day, one of his well-to-do relatives bought him a ticket to come over on a steamliner, to come over to America, and he was going to land in New York. So here is O'Connor. He's getting ready, and he gets on the boat, and he finally gets to go to America. But before he got on the boat, he went down and got him a loaf of bread and put it in his suitcase, and so that he'd have something to eat on this week-long journey across the Atlantic. And so, sure enough, when dinner time, lunchtime came, you'd see old Connor, he slipped off and did his bunk room, and he'd eat a slice of bread. And he was pretty secret about it because he didn't want any of the other poor people to see him do it, and he'd have to share his bread with anybody else. And so he did this all week long. And on the last day, they were about to dock in New York, and one of the passengers asked O'Reilly if he would come and have lunch with him. He said, "Why don't you come have lunch at my table, O'Reilly?" And he said, "No, I just go to my room and eat, and I don't have a ticket to get into the mess hall." He said, "O'Reilly," he said, "you've had 3 squares every day because of the ticket that you bought, that has been bought for you. You have not been eating up here in the dining hall?" He said, "No, I've been eating in my room for 6 days." He said, "Your ticket was a meal ticket as well. You could have been eating a meal here every single day, 3 times a day, and you didn't come up here." If I know anything about Christians, ladies and gentlemen, some of them have such a crippling misunderstanding about God. They got that loaf of bread when God's saying, "Come up here for the 3 squares. Come up here for a dining table. Come up here and I want to bless you. I enjoy blessing you. I want to bless your socks off." God wants us to experience His provision as a normal part of our lives. "Well, God gave me something back in 1997. No, God wants to bless you every day of your life. And He does not want to make apologies about it. And He's got a whole lot of stuff. Come on. He created the whole entire world. I mean, He just speaks a word and there's New Zealand. He speaks another word and there's Japan. He speaks another word and there's Oklahoma. No, wait a minute. The devil built that. The devil spoke that one in. I mean, God, that was a joke for some of you. God has a way of blessing you, but we have this crippling mentality. Well, I need to enjoy a little bit more pain. You know the phrase, "no pain, no gain"? Jabez would say, "Hey, I had enough pain. I'm not going to allow pain to define the rest of my life. I don't know what circumstances you're in right now, but do not allow those circumstances to define the rest of your life. Allow God to be the architect of the life that He is. God has a blueprint for your life. Check Him out and get into His plan. Or are you going to live penniless?" Well, you've got to ask God for things. I call it the holy asker. You got to have a holy ask. Ask God to bless you. Verse 10 said, Jabez said, "Lord, I pray that you would bless me indeed." Now that word "indeed" in your Bible ought to be in all capital letters, or it ought to have an exclamation mark behind it, because in the Hebrew, it's almost like it's got 3 exclamation marks behind it. Lord, and he is real serious. "Lord, I need you to bless me." Exclamation mark, exclamation mark. And God heard his prayer. I think sometimes this word blessing has gotten watered down today. You know, what do we do when someone sneezes today? What do we say? "God bless you." Why do we do that? You know why we do that is because about 200 years ago, people used to believe that when you sneezed, you were sneezing out demons. Oh, go Google that and find it out. They even have pictures way back when. Demons are actually coming out of you when you sneeze. That's why some of you sneeze 5 or 10 times at one time, I guess. I'm not sure. But people would say, "God bless you, you got rid of that demon." Come on, the biblical word for blessing is a whole lot bigger than that. I'm talking about a God who owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. I'm talking about a God who loves you so much that He let His Son die on the cross that you could spend eternity with Him. He wants to bless you. And when God does bless you, It's his supernatural favor coming upon you. To bless in a biblical sense means just that. The supernatural favor of God comes upon you. And now you can obtain something from God that you could not have obtained by yourself. How many need a little help from God? Just sort of wave at me. I'm telling you, here is the prayer that you ought to be praying. Look at this verse, Proverbs chapter 10. The Lord's blessing is our greatest wealth. Did that say anything about how much money you got in the bank? No. If someone walks up to you and says, I want to give you the blessing of the Lord or $10,000, you take the blessing of the Lord. The blessing of the Lord is our greatest wealth. All of our work adds nothing to it. The blessing of the Lord is our greatest wealth. I say, Lord, bless me. I want to be rich in your eyes, not in the eyes of the world. Lord, bless me. Somebody say, Lord, bless me. You don't need all that kind of money anyway. And being blessed is a whole lot better than having money. Let me tell you how much money you need. After you get to have about $75,000 income a year, that pretty much takes care of everything, doesn't it? Let me just do a little sidebar here. Come on. If you live in Tulare County and you're making $75,000 a year, you can pretty much buy yourself a house. You can pretty much have food on the table. You can pay all your bills, and you can probably go on vacation. After that, what do you need that much money for? After that, well, I need more. And we always want more. We got to have 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 more. But I'm here to tell you that there's something more important than having money, and it's having the favor, the blessing of God in our lives. I promise you that. If you need it, watch this, because money does not bring happiness. It does not bring happiness. If money brought happiness, why in the world are people with beautiful faces that have all the money in the world, have not a care whatsoever, why do they commit suicide if money brings you happiness? It's the blessing of the Lord that bringeth happiness, y'all. I'm in for the blessing of the Lord. Don't give me more money, give me more blessings, Lord. Somebody say amen. Deuteronomy chapter 7 said this, He is faithful. He is the faithful God who keeps his covenant to 1,000 generations. Oh, I wish you'd get this. Carrie Job wrote a song about this. He keeps his covenant for 1,000 generations and lavishes, somebody say lavishes, unfailing love on those who obey him. I'm more for that than anything in the world. I'm talking about a God who will bless you and then bless your children and bless their children and their children and their children and their children to 1,000 generations. That's the blessing of the Lord. And that's being rich right there when you get the blessing of the Lord. Amen. So here's the question. Have you asked the Lord to bless you lately? Well, you know, Pastor, I don't know. I think I feel a little weird about that. You know, I ask him bless my food. Why don't you ask him to bless you? That's what Jabez did. Ask him to bless us. It's what I call a 50-50 blessing. Okay. Let me lay it out here for you. It's a 50-50 blessing. You ask God to bless you. Let me put it like this. Some of our blessings are in heaven. Automatic blessings. Automatic blessing. Somebody say automatic. So, when I got born again, immediately 30, 40, 50 blessings showed up right there on the spot. If you're not born again, you need to be born again, because right there, baby, I'm telling you, you have been blessed with heavenly blessing. The Bible said in Ephesians 1, we have heavenly blessing in spiritual places. Oh, I cannot tell you how many blessings. I mean, as soon as I got born again, I got forgiven of all my past. I got eternity I get to spend with Jesus. I'm going to spend my life. I'm going to have a reunion with my family and friends one day because I got born again. I got that guilt is no longer on me. God cast my sins as far as the east is from the west. I am blessed. I am blessed. He gave me a purpose. He gave me a mind to think on good things. He gave me the ability to be a better person. And those are so many blessings. And then there's blessings when you die that you can't get until you die, and they're in heaven. You read Revelation chapter number 22, and look at there. It talks about the crystal sea. John said, I came up to the crystal sea. And he said, I saw heaven on the other side. And then he begins to list what's happening over there that's not happening over here. I think there are 7 of them. He said, there will be no more crying. There'll be no more dying. There'll be no more mourning. There'll be no more sin. There'll be no more devil. Oh, come on, somebody. You ought to get excited because you don't have to mess with the devil anymore. But then, and that's what you read it, Ephesians chapter 1, verse 3. There are spiritual heavenly blessings in Christ. If you're not in Christ, I would just get in Christ today because there's so many spiritual blessings waiting for you. But the second category there are some things that you can only be blessed with on the earth. And it comes by asking. It comes by asking. God wants to bless you, but He will not bless you until you ask Him to bless you. Is that not foreign to anybody? Matthew chapter 7, what is it? Verse 7. Read it out loud. You have not. Let's read it out loud again. You have not because you ask not. You have not because you ask not. Look at James. James, the brother of Jesus, he said this in chapter 4, verse 2. You do not have because you do not ask. James wrote a book and says, I can't believe you're walking around not asking God of things because you cannot have unless you do not ask. And then he goes on this long deal about make sure you ask with the right motives, but get to asking. Start asking God for things. Now, there's lots of people listening to me right now, and you may be having different reactions than the reactions that I'm having with this message, because some of you, there's all kinds of reactions. Somebody may be really getting excited. Oh man, I don't have to live living in defeat any longer. I can ask God to partner with me in my business. I can ask God to help me raise these kids. I can ask God. You're getting excited because I'm not talking about asking once a year. I'm talking about asking every day and multiple times a day. God, would you help me today? And you're getting excited because, man, I'm going to start asking God for more stuff. Then there's others that you're sitting around thinking, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. The big guy's busy. This is one of the dumbest prayers I ever hear people pray. God, I know you're really busy. I know you're really busy, but if you could think of little old me down here, come on, somebody, read your Bible. That's not the God that we serve. God, you are His children, and He loves His children, and He's waiting for you to show up in eternity one day, and He wants to bless you now. He's going to bless you then. He wants to bless you. But some are still walking around thinking, well, I don't know, and there are some that are just sad. You mean I wasted all those years? Yeah, you're like old Riley on that boat coming to America, eating a loaf of bread when you could be up there at the buffet. And you've been stuck on the sidelines due to ignorance, and I have to apologize because we preachers are the one that made you that way, I guess. But I'm telling you today, I'm candidating, Lord, you can bless me right now. I wrote a book called The God Nudge, and the whole premise of that book was the verse in First Chronicles that said, the eyes of the Lord go to and fro about the earth, seeking someone he may show himself strong to. And ladies and gentlemen, when I prayed over this service, I said, Lord, you let your eyes go across this service today, and there, I promise you there are going to be some people in there that are raising their hands saying, yes, I am a candidate to be used of God. Yes, I am a candidate to do what God wants me to do. You can bless me. I was praying in the altar last night here, and I was saying, Lord, what do you want to happen on the earth that is not happening right now? Because Buy Sell You First is candidating to be a go-to people. What songs that are yet to be written that you want written? What sermons need to be preached that you won't preach? What books need to be written that you want someone to write? What business needs to be started that you want to start? What kind of a help agency? Lord, let us in on some of the things you're doing. Go ahead and bless Buy Sell You First with some of those God ideas. Let's bring some things from the heavenlies down on the earth. Our people are ready to be blessed. Somebody say, I'm ready to be blessed. So, allow me to land the plane here, and let me ask you some questions. Why aren't you blessed? Well, you know, Pastor, no, I don't know. Oh, my goodness. If you know, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, but I don't let some people pray for me when they want to pray for healing because they don't know how to pray for healing. They come up here and they say, my nose is all running and I can't hardly talk. And they come out, Lord, if it be thy will, would you please heal Brother Mike? Give me somebody that believes it's God's will to heal in the earth today. Give me somebody that'll walk up there and say, devil, you better back up. Yeah, our preacher's got to have his voice and he needs to preach. So, that comes with someone who knows the word. Somebody say, devil, back up. I'm going to write a sermon on that one of these days. So here's my other question. Number one, why aren't you asking? And number two, how many times have you asked him in the last 30 days to bless you? Well, Pastor, I can't think of many, Start thinking about it because I want you to ask him to bless you every day. Think about it. Someone asked me this week, isn't heaven going to be boring? I said, what you talking about? I said, the Bible says that it's new every morning. The day I walk into heaven, I'm going to be looking around and looking around and looking around. The next day, all that's going to be gone, and he's going to create something new. Come on, ladies and gentlemen. It's nothing for God to create something every day. Why can't he put something in your life every day and my life too? So, here's the last question. Are you ready to change? One person. Sorry, Lord, I tried my best of that bunch. God is scanning the planet for people who will raise their hand and say, I'm a candidate. And I'm going to tell you this. The Bible said, verse 8, that Jabez was more honorable than all of his brothers because why? He prayed that prayer. Bless me. Enlarge my capacity. And put your hand on me, Lord. Keep me from evil, that I might not cause others pain. And God said, that's an honorable man right there. So I decided I'm not going to be an average run-of-the-mill Christian. I'm going to be one of those that are asking all the time. I'm going to ask him all the time. Jim Collins, Good to Great, said, we are not impoverished. You get that guy? We are not imprisoned by our circumstances, but by our what? Choices. So what choice do we have? Go back. I love that song they see, Lord, get rid of my old tradition, get rid of my old religious ways, because there is some junk in the trunk, y'all. We got to get rid of that stupid basement thinking and come up to the way God thinks. He said, my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither your ways, my ways, declares the Lord. As the heaven is high above the earth, so are my ways high above theirs. I'm thinking all the time. I'm thinking with my finite mind to a God who thinks in an infinite mind. Why can't I get higher thoughts going on here? I hope you read Wilkenson's prayer, Jabez, because he has another story in there about Mr. Smith goes to heaven. Mr. Smith dies, he goes to heaven, and he's been there a while, and he's walking around, and he has an angel with him, and he sees this huge warehouse in heaven. And he looks at it, there's just one door. And the warehouse is so big, he can't see the end of the warehouse. And he asked the angel of the Lord, said, what is that? The angel said, come on, boy, let's go. We don't need to be messing with that. Let's go. And Mr. Smith says, no, I won't. What's in that building? He said, let's go. We don't want to look in that building. He said, I want to look in that building. He said, no, you don't. He said, let's go. They opened the door. This warehouse was filled with boxes with red ribbons around it. And Mr. Smith said, what's in those boxes? He said, you really don't want to know. He said, I want to know. He said, well, every person who's ever lived on the earth has a box in heaven. He said, for real? He said, I got a box. He says, you got a box. Mr. Smith takes off, and he's running, and he's running, and he's running, and he's looking for his box. He comes to an aisle that it says S on it, and he finally runs, and he finds his name on a box, and the angel's right with him and said, sir, I'm asking you, pleading with you, do not open that box. Mr. Smith wouldn't have it. He rips the red ribbon off, rips the top off, and looks in the box. And his countenance is saddened. Because inside the box were blessings that God planned to put on the earth in Mr. Smith's life. But God could never get Mr. Smith in line to be blessed on the earth as he decided. And ladies and gentlemen, the whole of the warehouse is filled not with just Mr. Smith's box, my box and your box. And I'm asking God now, I don't want to get to heaven and have one single blessing left in that box that belonged on the earth. What am I not seeing, Lord, that I need to see? What am I not doing that I need to do? You know what I prayed today as I was praying? I said, open my eyes, Lord. But then I said, Lord, I want Mickey Mouse ears to hear what the Spirit is saying. Give me Mickey Mouse ears. Make me hear better. Make me see more. Let me discern better. That's the point of the whole message. If we don't ask God to bless us on a daily basis, we are forfeiting blessings every day. Oh, no more of that. Let's don't do any more of that. No. How many would raise your hand and say, I want to be a candidate to be blessed? Yes. Thank you. You got it. I thought it was just me and you a while ago, but y'all got it. Amen. Thank you. Lord, we are candidates to be blessed. Your word said that the eyes of the Lord go to and fro about the earth, seeking someone you may show yourself strong to. Lord, bless. Open the eyes of our understanding. Open our ears to hear. Give us a heart to discern, but more than that, give us courage. Courage to bring the supernatural, to bring your super onto our natural. Oh God, bless everyone under the sound of my voice. In the name of Jesus. Now, if you heard this message and you're not a follower of Christ, why not? Why aren't you? Every day in sin is just another day that I'm hanging out with Diablos, drinking tequila or whatever he does. No, get over here. Get out here on Blessed Street, because hanging out with him, well, I'm having fun, Pastor. I told a guy this week, I'm telling you a lot of what I tell people this week. He's going to go out and sleep with another girl, not his wife. And I said, come here. Now go ahead. Come here. I said, committing adultery is a lot of fun. He said, what? I said, yeah, the Bible says sin is fun. It's going to be a lot of fun for a little bit. And then, brother, payday is coming. Payday is coming. The devil is going to keep you longer than you intended to stay and cost you more than you intended to pay. Brother, it ain't worth it. Pharaoh said, I'm not going to let the children of Israel go. Moses said, you mean to tell me you want one more night with the frogs? Yeah. There was frogs in the bed, frogs in his head, frogs in the soup. I mean, who wants that? People who've been deceived by Diablos wants that. But I'm telling you, God is giving you an invitation. Come on. And I'm going to tell you what, God only wants one thing from you. Ask him to come into your life and help you. Ask him to be your Lord. That's all, Pastor? Yeah. And once you ask him, the conversation begins. And then you're going to start seeing blessings. You mean the devil was ripping me off? Yeah. Ripped you off. So if you're in this room, you don't know God. You're not in right standing with him. You got something to repent of. Let's do it right now. You that are watching online, you that are listening on the radio, let's just pray right now and get in right standing with God. Because here's the deal, and a lot of people don't understand this. God is a holy God. He's never sinned. And he can't be around sin. He told Moses, he told Elijah, I can't be around you because you can't handle this. When you become righteous, you can handle being in the presence of God. That's why Jesus died, to make us righteous. Once you get righteous, now you're in the courtroom of heaven and God is talking to you. As long as you're over here, no, I did that. Let's pray this prayer. If you want to get right with God, this is how you do it. Help us out, church. Lord Jesus, I invite you to be Lord of my life. Please forgive all my sins. Wash me with your word. Take this guilt away. I'm so sorry for my sinful ways. I want you to be Lord. And from this day forward, I'm going to walk with God. I need help. Fill me with your spirit. Tell me what to do. I'm all yours. I love you, Jesus. Somebody said amen, amen, and amen.